Good to see you, everyone. Feels like it's been forever. Time to go over the Q&A for the month of August. If you have any questions and are watching on YouTube, please feel free to throw them into the comments section. Detour, when might we see V2 in print? I think as soon as I get the PDFs done, I'm going to start sending the mock-ups out to my printer. I pretty much have all the printing logistics figured out at this point. And after them shipping to me and then me shipping to you guys, my guess is fulfillment is going to ideally be somewhere around everywhere from like February to April. But in terms of showing you guys the actual physical book, the actual physical mock-up, I think it could happen before the end of the year, so December-ish. I'd say maybe a slightly less ambitious goal would be somewhere in January range. Rich says, very excited by the ability to mix and match class abilities. Looking forward to that. Oh yeah, it's going to be sick. On top of the 3 core abilities all classes have, you can also mix and match advanced abilities from your class and others. Eventually, when we release more classes like PCCs and stuff, you can mix and match off of those as well as soon as you get them. Oh, infinity options. Janine says, for sure, the enchantments on items too. Yeah, that's another thing that's going to open up. Yeah, build possibilities in Aspirant are blowing my mind. Exactly, Detour. I haven't even spoiled some of the other ways you can do it as well. So many already existing Enclave characters are going to be nuts. Yeah, Mal, that's absolutely true. I'm going to give, not a blank check, but like a pretty big kind of respec to everyone who is upgrading from Advent to Aspirant. It's even in the book of Aspirant of like, yeah, work with your group to update your character. Ori says, are there going to be any changes in how some classes have in playstyle? I would say that none of the changes being made to the existing classes are anywhere near big enough to wildly change their playstyle. Closest would be the Wanderer, which is getting a slightly bigger stealth push, but it's not really at the expense of anything else the class already does. So I'd say the classes will all feel and play very similar, but since you have so many new ways to build them, you can make them play wildly different if you really want to. Guy says, I'd like to be able to mix 2 items from different classes into a single item, especially if they blend naturally. That's the sort of thing that with enchantments and things like that, you will be able to very easily simulate. Like, for example, let's say you're playing with the free runners, the free runners running shoes, and then, or sneakers rather, they're called. And then you also want to get the Talaria effect of like taking a couple extra steps in midair. That's something you could customize an enchantment to kind of replicate, you know? You'd want to make sure it wasn't like exactly as good, if that makes sense, because obviously bundling items is quite strong in Enclave. It helps kind of get around opportunity cost. But you could definitely like approximate it without any question. That's just what I wanted, Talarian sneakers for my Berserker. Yeah, exactly. Those two are definitely a hot duo. Yeah, switching Kali over to Aspirant is going to be wild. I reckon a lot of the Aspirant swaps are going to be pretty freaking wild because just the number of options you'll have is pretty vast. Obviously, decision paralysis is kind of scary, so I have like some suggestions in place for how to do it, to not be overwhelmed by it. With Advent being so relatively straightforward and simple, it's making sure people get like a good foothold into the game before Aspirant just hits them with like a wave of stuff. Rick says, new to Enclave, great to have you. As a longtime TTRPG player and DM used to rules light and high crunch game mechanics, what's the biggest culture shock I will get with Enclave? That's a great question. Well, I'd say there's 2 answers to that. As a player, I'd say the biggest culture shock you'll get is you're going to be asked to describe what you are doing a lot. And the better your description of things and the more vivid your description, that is going to be a major determinant of success and failure, so long as whatever you're doing fits within kind of the logic of the story. If you're trying to do something kind of borderline, you're going to have to get ready to give a really compelling description of it. Another thing you'll find in Enclave is that going out of your way to penalize yourself in a story-appropriate and engaging way is a great way to get what you want. Lastly, as a host, I'd say one of the biggest pieces of culture shock you'll get is how fast Enclave missions tend to be in terms of in-world time. Other games you might expect in-world time, a session to be a day, a couple hours. In Enclave, a session that out of game in real time takes like 2 or 3 hours will in game take like half an hour or less. It tends to be very, very fast. Janine says, what's your favorite new thing you haven't shared? Oh god, my heart. I don't know if I can pick my single favorite because there's so many topics, but one of my favorites is I've given a bunch of new player, conduit, and mission design advice in the book. And one of the main ones that I'm really looking forward to, because I used to do it all the time, and I haven't with you guys, but I want to, is something that I call hard cuts. A few of you have experimented with it. I know Detour has. And a hard cut is when you are cutting away from a player, like let's say someone is unconscious, or someone is like in a room alone, and there's no way they can communicate with your team. With a hard cut, you have them leave the call. Or if you're playing in person, you have them go into another room. Now, obviously, you want to be sparing with this because it can be really annoying, frankly, and you don't want to take your player out of the game by leaving them bored by themselves. But for just like a few minutes at a time, it adds so much tension to the game. Detour says the season is coming. Yes, I know. The Hallowenclave season is coming. It kind of works out well that our campaign is gonna cross Halloween, because we do have a tradition of the season of slaughter, where people host very hard missions on Halloween. And as it turns out, in Aspirant, not only is that a lot more incentivized, both for the player and the conduit, because players can get rewarded for going on extra hard missions, but given how much more juiced up Aspirant characters tend to be, giving them a challenge tends to be like a lot more exciting, I suppose. Ori was saying, out of all the new classes coming to Aspirant, which one is your current favorite as of right now? Well, all of the classes coming to Aspirant are ones that you guys have seen to some degree through reward classes and stuff like that. But in terms of the stretch goal classes, well, that gets a lot more exciting. As you guys may know, we do have plans for up to 24 additional classes for free for everyone who backs the campaign. I'll give you the top 4, which seem like by far and away the most likely, are the Voidwalker, which is an anti-magic teleporting assassin, the Tessernaut, which is a physics puzzle lab rat, a la Ciao from Portal, the Spectre, which is like a futuristic recon super soldier, and then the Swashbuckler. I guess I'll give you some more. We have another one at number 5, the Swiftcaster. Might be changed to the Wand, or the Spellslinger, rather, which is like a wizard duelist. We have the Striker, which is a soccer player that you can reskin it to other sports as well. The Woodwoes, which is like a wild man who rejects society and returns to Monke. And the Scion, which is a classic superpowered psychic. So those top 8, right? A lot of options there. And of those, I think the one that I am personally most excited for is probably the Woodwoes, because the art is really beautiful. Excellent question. George says, do you plan on describing any organizations that are in competition to Enclave and Manifold, maybe their arch enemy? Excellent question. The answer to that is no, but I do give a bunch of options for people who want to pursue those plot lines. One of the most important things about doing like larger form world building in the Enclave is it's very important to keep the Enclave itself as being kind of untouchable, because it's the reason the game works. If the Enclave dies, the game dies. But I do present options for how you can make similar plot lines and have these sort of dramatic like fall of a local Enclave branch rather than the organization itself, or set up like a major competitor to an Enclave in one part of Manifold. That is totally fine. That's something I highly endorse, and it's something that will be abundantly doable. It's doable now, technically, but it's going to be especially doable in Aspirant. George says, are you planning any powers, abilities, perks, etc. to be able to play with time to a certain degree? Yes. There are quite a few, actually. So, for example, off the top of my head, we have a couple of classes in the stretch goals that do have predictive powers, and we also have a handful of like perks and things on the current the main 12 that will reference it as well. Down the line, we also have absolutely plans for many other classes that could play with time. As you guys may know, Enclave classes are based in tropes. And there are so many time manipulation tropes out there that we absolutely have the material for it. The Tessernaut, which is our second stretch goal, that is going to have some time manipulation stuff, but it's not going to be super overt. Mel says, non-humanoid characters, any news on that? We actually, in Advent V2, are going to be having a pretty, it's not like super comprehensive, but we're going to have way more information about how to play non-human characters and how to create them fairly. In terms of classes that are like tethered to non-human physiognomy, that's going to be for a later expansion. Is the Shadowblade getting nerfed? Yes, Shadowblade is stupid and cracked. It's the strongest weapon in the game, I'd say bar none, in V1. But yes, it'll be nerfed in Aspirant. I think it'll still be fun though. I reckon it is about time we wrap up the Q&A. Thank you so much for your time. Get excited for Enclave Kickstarter coming out this autumn. I will see you guys in September for another, probably much bigger progress report. And until then, my name is Robbie Howell, and ciao for now.